Hello, this is Joel Blackford coming to you from Beth Hassett Sabbath Fellowship. We're not open yet, but we're getting very, very close. We're trying to work together with another fellowship and share space. It could happen soon. Call first 612-315-6778 before you attend. We do the philosophy of eschatology. It's deeper than just the standard news. By the way, if you're interested in standard news, John Haller does a great job. So, hit Fellowship Bible Chapel. I think that's the name of his place. But John does a nice job. He does the news per se, and I do the philosophy behind the news. So, what you need to know, your reality, your existence. We try not to be disparate. We try to quote the Bible properly and in ways that'll intrigue you. We're Beth Hesed Sabbath Fellowship, coming to you with another week. Ethnos, epi, ethnos. That is a way of saying ethnic group versus ethnic group. And so I'm telling you, you never met Hitler. You'll probably never meet the Antichrist. You're going to meet your neighbor. And if anybody's going to hurt you during the end times, in this ethnos, epi, ethnos time frame of ethnic group versus ethnic group, it'll be your neighbor or your family member or your kids or somebody like that. They'll be the ones turning you in. So I don't think you're ever going to meet the beast, the Antichrist, the one that descends and bothers us. He's called a Therion in the Bible, so who knows where he comes from. But anyway, I don't think you'll ever meet the false prophet. We assume it's Pope Francis. We don't know. Both of these guys are both going to die in an Ola offering. They'll both be burnt at the end. Gog is buried. Some people believe it's Barack Obama. He would be buried in Israel, and that's basically Ezekiel 39, I think verse 8. Earthborn, the 12-foot king angel of the abyss. The Buso from the fifth trumpet, the first woe of Revelation 9. I don't think you're ever going to meet this guy. Okay? 9-foot tall horse like locusts from the abyss, outfitted for battle. I don't know. You'll probably see them. Okay. You probably will see them, but they're going to be 9 feet tall and they're going to scare you half to death. You're going to need a lot of faith when you bump into those guys. Okay. But that is the fifth trumpet. Okay, so that's a long ways into this process, probably close to the midpoint of the Great Tribulation. We're not even in it yet. So, and the 200,000 cavalry soldiers, maybe, maybe not. They're coming in from the east towards Israel. The Illuminati, well, you see them all the time, wicked humans, but do you know them personally? You'll never meet any of these people. You probably won't meet the 144,000. You probably won't meet the two witnesses, the Kedoshim. Hopefully you're one of the Kedoshim, the Hagios in the Greek. You're earthborn people that are holy and want to keep God's holiness. The in-between ones, a lot of people are like that right now. Okay, they're earthborn, they're ontological in their existence. And so, basically Rosh Hashanah talks about these people that are in between. They're not in the book of life, they're not in the book of death, they're just in between. You may meet some of these people. But the main thing is, when we talk about ethnos versus ethnos, epi-ethnos, we're really talking about not race, ethnicity, okay, based on common ancestry, cultural heritage, common nations of origin. U.S. are Jews, Asian Americans, Italians, Irish Americans, Native Americans, things like that. That's ethnicity, okay? It's not race, it's not skin color. The Bible really doesn't deal at all about skin color, eye color, hair, any of those types of things. Yeah, David was ruddy, and others were probably reddish and colored, but that wasn't a reason why people would hate them. It was the ethnicity that God's talking about. And we'll see the verses and we'll see what you think of it. But basically, I'm saying that this is the key component in your life going forward. It's not bumping into the Antichrist. He's not your big time enemy. It's the other people. So the end is not yet to come. For peoples will fight against each other, ethnos, epi, ethnos. Nations will fight each other, and there will be famines, and there will be earthquakes in various parts of the world, and all this is just the beginning of the birth pangs. At that time, you will be arrested and handed over to be punished and put to death, and all peoples will hate you because of me. And I'm arguing it's not the Antichrist arresting you. It's not the false prophet arresting you. It might be big tech that is used to get that done, but your real problem is your neighbor, your friend, your family member that wants to turn you in for whatever reason it happens to be. And it's not going to be based on race so much, it's going to be ethnicity. That's the big deal going forward. And Jesus talks about it, warns about it. It's culture versus culture. So What should you expect? Well, I'm telling you that the leaders are going to turn you against each other. And you can see some of those leaders that are presently turning you against each other. And you can kind of tell the bad guys because they wear masks, because demons wear masks. And they're people that are trying to hide things. Now, I'm saying that I wear masks when I have to, but I don't like to. It's unnatural, and demons want you to wear masks. So ethnic groups will turn against each other. Covert narcissism and passive aggressive behavior will rule the world by projection and gaslighting. So you're projecting their thoughts onto you, or gaslighting. Well, everything seems fine, but it's not. God unmasks the covert narcissist. It's not your job, okay? Covert narcissists, these demons thrive by pretending to be something they are not. That's Dr. Ross Rosenberg. And so I'm going to cite him a few times today. As you deal with these Nazis that are ethnically trying to divide us. I love people of other races or of other ethnicities. I would love them. I mean, I was listening to some guy, oh, I'll mention him in a little while, and he was saying, I went to a Walmart and I bumped into a bunch of white people and they wanted to be friendly with me because I happen to be a white. That's not our common goal. Our common goal is getting along with people that share values with us. It doesn't matter if they're black, white, or whatever, or if they came to the country 5 minutes ago, or if they've been here for 50 years. It's because I've met a lot of white people that I don't want anything to do with. Okay, some of them are pictured here. So, and I want to deal with. Okay, so the last video that I did, somebody said, "Oh, you're bashing on your ass." No, I'm dealing with narcissism. Okay, and it's very personal in my case. But I'm also dealing with it in this ethnos epi ethnos way. It's going to affect us. So during the summer of 2006, I saw this demonic plasma basically having relations with me like I was a woman. That was called sleep paralysis. And then my son was hit by these demons, and they said to him, we live in the light, we thrive in the dark, be around friends, and we won't come back. And I'm saying that that is called shadow dancing, and that happened in April of 2007, March of 2007. The being that was having its way with me looked like this space ghost. His name is Brack from Space Ghost. That's what it looked like with the energy coming off, and it was like a plasma beaming in front of my face, and it's like I was quite awake and I understood what was going on, but I didn't understand spiritual warfare. So you're going to need to learn that. And so you can say I'm bashing my ex. No, I'm dealing with the fact that I think she conjured, or her friend conjured, this into our lives. And this is what's going to happen as we move forward. You're going to see betrayal and conjuring. Deal with it. Magic is part of this, okay? So according to Dr. Sarah Morris, when you see this woman, Diana, I'm blanking on the other name for what she's called, of Ephesus, these little bags are not breasts, okay? They are fetish bags. They are objects. They are magic potions. So if you walked up to a Hittite person from the first century, not the first century, how about like Abraham's time, if you walked up to a son of Heth, they would be called terrorists, okay, Hittites, and they would have these bags of potions on them. They're magical. And yeah, Felix the cat, magic stuff. And so Dr. Clinton E. Arnold talks about it in Ephesus, Power and Magic, and Heiser, did a video on it. So if you want to hit the Heiser video, I'm probably going to put this link in there. I don't generally put the link in. I describe the video. I don't put the link in. I'm going to put this one in because the last few minutes of it are very, very impressive. So is magic real or demonic in the Bible? Dr. Michael Heiser. So once again, summoning. It derives from the Hittites, the Heth, the terrorists, okay? These magic practice vows and summonings, okay? Magic represented means of harnessing spiritual power via incantations and magic pouches of potions, okay? And Dr. Jordan Paper, who is a polytheist, he's not a good guy, okay? But according to Mike Heiser, it only works if you solicit the powers. They will respond if they desire contact, kind of like a Ouija board down in the lower section here. So if you try to contact people with a Ouija board, maybe the spirits will reach out to you, maybe not. But it's conjuring people. And that's the problem with what's going on right now. This is all spoken via curses and vows and conjuring and things like that as we go into this time going forward. This horrible ethnos epi ethnos. Okay, that's what I'm arguing, and I think you'll see the links together here. And yeah, conjuring, spiritual warfare, absolutely. This is what we're jumping into. He is conjuring things that will cause greater problems as we move forward. Okay, I don't want to describe it any more than that, but Satan falling from heaven as lightning is not a good thing, dude. Okay, so we're dealing with the philosophy of the end of days. We're dealing with ethnos epi, ethnos, which is the Gentiles, the nations, the peoples, the pagans. We're trying not to twist the Bible. We're trying to give you real news and real prophecy and deal with what's going on. So this is the guy that I kind of cited, but now I'm going to cite him, Victor Davis Hanson. Smart guy from the Hoover Institute, and he represents, I'm blanking on the name of the college that he likes, Hillsdale. So I get emails from them all the time. So this is his comments on ethnos, epi, ethnos, tribe versus tribe, which is basically Matthew 24, as I pointed out. We're becoming a nation of tribes, communities. We are tribal people now. Once you go tribal, you go nuclear. So he's saying this is horrible. So he was the guy that said, yeah, I was in Walmart the other day and some white guy walked up to me like, hey, cool, you're here early in the morning because you're a white guy, you know, and we share so much in common because you're white and he's white. No, that has nothing to do with it. This guy might vote against you. He might have a criminal record. He might beat his wife. Who knows? Just because he's white, just because he's white, it's meaningless. It's the values that matter. So if you want to hit this particular section, it's at the 2330 mark, where he talks about tribal versus tribal and where we're going right now and why it's so bad. I'm saying it's being conjured up as we move into the end times. But I like his analysis of this. So if you want to hit this video, Victor Davis Hanson, Western Civilization, the Recovery of the Greek Wisdom in Today. It's a long video. It's an hour and 16 minutes, but at the 2330 mark, it was pretty good. Okay, here's another guy that comments on this. He's Jewish, so he's not going to quote Jesus, trust me, okay? But anyway, this is Alona Nava, rabbi, wonderful guy. And so he's seen all the things that are going on with the Trump election or whatever else. But down on the lower right-hand side, the whole system is set up to bring the country to civil war. Ethnos, epi, ethnos. Martial law and the end of the U.S. Either way you look at it, it's going to bring the country down. That's where we're going. He's very prophetic, people, and he may not believe in Yeshua, but he knows Hashem, God. He knows very well. So anyway, let's continue on. This is also new. You've never really heard of this from me before, but I've been digging around in the Jewish Virtual Library. And I'm really happy that I found this because it ties a bunch of stuff together. So if you walked up to King David, you know, back in 970 BC, and asked him about the 4 apocalyptic horsemen that John wrote about 1,000 years later, and the first one on a white horse holding a bow, there's no arrows, going out to conquer, what would he reply? David would tell you that arrows at that point in time meant progeny or swiftness in battle. Okay, and this is from the Jewish Virtual Library then that proves this. So based on what's standard knowledge of that point in time, Dever, pestilence, is the other demonic herald which marches with God to battle. Okay, Dever is also mentioned in Psalms 91, which is the big psalm for spiritual warfare. You should not be afraid of the terror, pahad, by night, nor the arrowheads that flies by day, nor the pestilence, Dever, that walketh by darkness, nor the destruction, ketev, that wasteth at noonday, nor not only Dever, but also the other words italicized above have been plausibly identified as the names of demons. Interesting. The arrow is a familiar symbol in folklore for disease or sudden pain, and ketev from Deuteronomy 32, which is like revelation for Moses, and Isaiah 28:2, which is real close to revelation for Isaiah, is in this instance the personification of overpowering noonday heat, known also to the Greek and Roman demonology. Okay, so the main point is that, and this is my opinion, that the first horseman is during the end of days, and first will be a protracted ethnos, epi, ethnos, ethnic, meaning not the kingdom versus kingdom warfare. This is hand-to-hand combat on the streets with no winners or losers, just mayhem. There will be power symbolized by the bow, but no shield of faith, meaning faithlessness, and the swiftness of the arrow battles will be missing too. This will be a very slow, protracted war. This type of hand-to-hand combat will be slow and painful. Zechariah 6 tells us that white is from the west, so these protracted street battles will result in the fall of Western civilization. This time will be relatively disease-free until the time of the fourth seal, when 4 varieties of death stalk the earth. So you can see the progression. And I'll show you how I set up the progression in just a little bit here. But arrows are fast. Thus, the first seal is a slow progressing disease or pain against Western civilization, once again, per those directions. So, the birth pangs are where we are right now. We're moving along through those. We have not hit the tribulation yet. We've not hit the Great Tribulation, which is at least 3.5 years after whenever we jump into it. I don't know when we're going to jump into all of these things, but I'm chronicling what's going on right now. And certain people are starting to agree with me that we are close to the fourth seal, if not in it. The birth pangs listed in Matthew 24 that we've been describing today, the ethnos, epi-ethnos, and other things like that, earthquakes, battles, wars, pestilence, drought, all those things. Those mean that when you hit 7.7 billion people alive, you're probably in the seals, because the seals look just like those birth pangs, guys, okay? So I'm arguing that we're in seal 3 already. And seal 1 would be, I believe, I really don't have a confirm other than on seal 3, but seal 1 would have started in 1967 when the Israelis had handed back Jerusalem. You know, they won it by a miracle, and then they handed it back. And Western civilization has fallen apart since then. Just look around you and look at all the signs of the drug culture, the sex culture, the rock and roll culture, the broken family culture, the divorce culture. All of these cultures have really kicked in. Now they've gotten into hyperdrive since about 20 years ago, but really, and I'll argue that in a second here. The 20 years ago is SEAL 2, 2003, when Bush kicked off all of these wars, these conflicts in the 2000s, you know, all of these conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan and all these other places. You know, we wanted to export our view of democracy, but we've never done very well with that, okay? And then Arab Spring kicked off in 2011, 2010, 2011, but by 2012 it was moving, okay? And so that's SEAL 3, and then you're going to see the scales pertaining to food. You're seeing the fruition right now. You're noticing food prices go up. So keep in mind, George Bush seemed to be a nice enough fellow, but those wars that he started are horrific, and he's not going to take credit for them. So once again, the 4 horsemen resemble Zechariah 1 and 6, where we have the horses listed, but especially the directions. So just keep that in mind. And let's look at it from a new angle of this. You know, ethnos, epi, ethnos. Did we have big tech 20 years ago? Were they really a factor at all? No, not at all. Big satellites? Not really. No. Big pharma? No. Drugs were bad. They've been bad for 50 years, but they're horrific now. And also with the jab. Big media? Much worse now than ever before. I mean, I can't even watch media anymore, okay? Big woke? No, we never had it. Big banks? They weren't a factor as much years ago. Big China? Not really. No, China's really been coming on lately. Big church? No, churches were generally smaller. Now they're just monoliths. Okay, big slavery. Well, we didn't have as many issues with Jeffrey Epstein and his types of human slavery, human trafficking, and things like that. They're much worse now. And then big cosmos. Things are changing, people. The magnetosphere is thinning. These things are coming from outside in the cosmos to us. It's not global warming. These benevolent caretakers are getting much worse. It's going up, 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 up. Okay, so once again, the fourth seal is 4 different things that are coming at us. And when they'll hit, I don't know, but they are starting to hit right now. So the supernatural deaths, the drought deaths, the deaths, the biowarfare deaths, 1.944 billion would die. That's seal 4. Seal 5 is martyrdom. That's the central focus of Revelation. Seal 6 is going to be burning figs, which is asteroids coming from the sky and a great earthquake. It's all survivable. So what do we need to work on? Let's look at the Old Testament and see if we have some answers to the ethnos, epi, ethnos. For a long time, Israel was without a true God, without a Cohen, so that would be a head, the top pastor, who could teach, and without Torah, which is the Bible. But when, in their distress, they turned to Adonai, their God of Israel, and sought him, and they found him, in those times people going about their business were insecure, and great disturbances afflicted all the inhabitants of the lands, so that they were shattered to pieces, nation against nation. It is ethnos, but it's not epis, it's pros. Ethnos. So it's close. It's it's close, people. Okay, you can see that in the Greek. And city against Greek. I'm sorry. This is in Hebrew, but I quoted you the Greek there from the Septuagint. City against city, as God troubled them with every kind of distress. But you, being strong, don't slack off, for your work will be rewarded. 2 Chronicles 15:3-7. Does it make sense? Okay. So yes, the distress is coming, the nation against nation, but be strong. Don't slack off, for your work will be rewarded. Continuing on in Isaiah 19:1-4, this is the answer. This is a prophecy about Egypt, and we could be Egypt when you look at Isaiah 19. Look, Adonai is riding a swift cloud on his way to Egypt. Before him, Egypt's idols tremble. Egypt's courage melts within them. I will incite Egypt against Egypt. Brother will fight against brother. Friend against friend. City against city. Kingdom against kingdom. It is not ethnos, epi, ethnos in any of these cases in the Septuagint. It's close, people. It's real close. The courage of Egypt will ebb away within it, and it will reduce its counsel to confusion. They will consult idols and mediums and ghosts. Okay, did I mention the spiritual aspect of this and the conjuring and other things like that? Yeah, that's why I brought it in. I will hand over the Egyptians to a cruel master. A harsh king will rule them, says the Lord Adonai Tezvaot, the God of legions. So, continuing on with advice for you, trust God. Ignore the covert narcissist. Didn't we tell you in Egypt to let us alone? We'll just go on being slaves for the Egyptians. It would be better for us to be the Egyptian slaves than to die in the desert. Moses answered the people, saying, stop being so fearful. Remain steady, and you will see how Adonai is going to save you. He will do it today. Today you have seen the Egyptians, but you will never see them again. Adonai will do battle for you. Just calm yourselves down. Okay, we're going to quote a little bit from Ross Rosenberg, who is a PhD in psychology, wonderful guy, and this is from the video, When You Unmask a Covert Narcissist, Run, but quietly, counterfeit relationship narcissist expert. Okay, so Ross is saying, don't unmask a covert narcissist. So these ethnic groups that are coming at you and causing you to attacking you and wanting to rile you up, settle down, don't unmask them. God does that. That's his job, not yours. Don't be so hard on yourself. If somebody walks up to you on the street and punches your lights out, it's not really your fault. That person did it to you. So don't be so hard on yourself. Or if you're abused by a covert narcissist, remember, these people are truly brilliant. They're manipulative, they're pathological, and so don't be so hard on yourself. They thrive on fooling and deceiving. Remember how they thrive in the dark, things like that. Calm down. Exodus 14:14. Don't call them out. Pull off the mask. Too much at stake for them. Exit the relationship without confrontation. Create boundaries around you. Understand passive aggressiveness. Covert narcs don't directly confront. They use flying monkeys. They use other tools. Extreme danger is involved. So reconnect to what's important to you, which is God. So yes, covert narcissists identify as caretakers who take care of everyone else except themselves. This is the farthest from the truth. So these people that want to entice you into these movements out on the street where, you're going to go protest this, that, and the other thing, don't be involved in those things. It's anti-God. They're covert narcissists. Their whole life story is the manipulation of others. Disconnect with these pigs, these demons, I call them, that love to wrestle in the mud. Don't go out on the streets and get into these slugfests. You're not going to accomplish anything at all. Are these powers conjuring these ethnos versus ethnos battles to manipulate covert narcissists into ongoing civil wars? I'm asking that. I think so. I think that's where we're going right now. And it's going to get worse. I think there's conjuring going on. I think there's magic going on, vows and other things like that are happening. And it's just going to get worse. So things are going to get worse. We're going to have more civil wars and ethnos, epi-ethnos. We'll have these peace treaties. We'll have deaths hitting at some point in time during the fourth seal. The Pope has been doing what the Pope is doing, but the Antichrist is behind the scenes, not doing anything right now. You're not noticing anything from him at all. The Pope is going to take center stage first. Okay, persecution will increase against the believers, and martyrdom will be the norm. It's the central focus of Revelation. Yeshua will return, and get used to it. You're going to have these people stirring up. So the prince of the kingdom of Persia is going to stir up these wars in Syria and Iran and other things like that. It's just going to happen. Get used to it, because that's what was prophesied. So what are we preparing for? Maybe Rosh Hashanah, maybe Yom Kippur, maybe Sukkot. Whenever Yeshua would return, we want our garments to be white and pure. We want to be ready for the wedding. We don't want to be cast out of the wedding because we're wearing filthy garments. So that's the end of this story. Another video. Thank you very much for joining me. And now you learned a little bit more about ethnos, epi-ethnos. Thank you. Be blessed.